It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all to this high-level event, building on the tremendous moment generated by the African Climate Summit. Under the inspiring leadership of His Excellency President Dr. William Ruto, the summit provided an unprecedented platform for the continent to unite in articulating Africa's climate priorities. Together we embraced a collective call to action for resilience, sustainability, and equity, all embodied in the Nairobi Leaders' Declaration on Climate Change and Call to Action. Allow me to highlight that following the successful hosting of the Africa Climate Summit, the presentation of the African Leaders' Nairobi Declaration on Climate Change and Call to Action at Cop28, His Excellency President of the Republic of Kenya convened a course meeting in February this year, in which Kenya and the African Union Commission Secretariat presented the Post-Africa Climate Summit Implementation Roadmap, its governance structure, the ACS Secretariat Office offer for consideration. The committee congratulated the government of Kenya under the leadership of Dr. William Ruto and the African Union Commission through His Excellency Musa Faki Mohamed for a very successful Africa Climate Summit under the theme Driving Green Growth and Climate Finance Solution for Africa and the World. Africa in solidarity with the world, and adopted the following key decisions in that meeting. 1, welcome the African Leaders' Nairobi Declaration on Climate Change and Call to Action and its implementation efforts, including the proposed implementation roadmap and governance structure. 2, endorse Kenya's offer to be the champion implementation of the Nairobi Declaration and to set up and host this secretariat, which shall be its technical arm for implementation. 3, endorse that the secretariat shall be operationalized jointly by the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, and the AU Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy, and Sustainable Environment, that is responsible for CAHOS matters. 4, agreed that the aforementioned secretariat will be financed through voluntary contribution from Kenya and other member states, as well as partners. And 5, welcome the recommendation in the Nairobi Leaders' Declaration on the climate change and call to action to make Africa Climate Summit a biannual event and call upon interested African Union member states to offer to host the next Africa Climate Summit in 2025. I am pleased to inform you that Kenya is working closely with the AU Commission to urgently operationalize the post-ACS implementation roadmap. We have identified office space within the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change, and Forestry, and we are in the process of setting up the Secretariat Office. We are working closely with the AUC to second staff to the Secretariat. I'm also happy to report that the African Union Commission is currently developing governance instruments for the ACS Secretariat, a communication strategy, and a joint resource mobilization strategy, while galvanizing African countries where projects will be identified and implemented. Truly fulfill the transformative vision of the Africa Leaders Nairobi Declaration, we must maintain and amplify the momentum we have generated together. This declaration, a beacon of hope and resilience, can only be achieved if its far-reaching objectives are achieved. and we will continue to foster collaboration, strengthen partnership, leverage on our collective resources and expertise. Therefore, I call upon our partners, our allies and friends to deepen their commitment and join us in this journey. Let us work hand in hand to mobilize the support and the resources needed to fully operationalize the implementation roadmap.
Leadership of His Excellency Dr. William Ruto for convening this high-level event here in Cop29 to take stock of the progress of the last year's summit that was organized, African summit that was organized in Nairobi. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are all aware that African countries are among those hit the hardest by the climate crisis, despite having contributed to it at least. We all know we are not a victim, but it's good to really put it in table to say that we are with the health of the planet. At the same time, Africa is an essential part of the solution, with its potential for renewable energy and green hydrogen, critical raw material, its rich biodiversity, and young working force. Africa plays a fundamental role in the global transition towards a net zero and decarbonized economy. This transition is also creating new jobs and economic opportunity while improving the access to energy in the continent. As we are all aware, during the inaugural African Climate Summit convened in Nairobi, Kenya, in September 2023, African leaders affirmed in the Africa Leaders Nairobi Declaration on Climate Change and Call to Action, known as the Nairobi Declaration, that climate change is the greatest challenge facing humanity, necessitating urgent and concrete action globally to mitigate emission and reduce the concentration of the greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. Moreover, they emphasized Africa's potential to contribute significantly to global climate solutions, leveraging its young full population, vast renewable energy resources, natural assets, and entrepreneurial spirit to chart a climate-compatible development trajectory. I am happy to report that we have achieved milestones attendant to the climate change declaration. Among them are a development of a roadmap comprehensive result framework and action plan, and significant effort in the operationalization of the Secretariat of the Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi, Kenya. To support, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to support African Union member states in assessing climate finance and attracting investment into green development projects, the African Union Commission established a climate finance unit as part of the implementation of the Green Recovery Action Plan, known as GRAP. The African Union Commission, in collaboration with the Global Green Institute, the African Capacity Building Foundation, and Canada's support, kicked off the first phase of the GRAP implementation, with the first cohort involving 7 African member states, and I name La Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Lesotho, Namibia, Rwanda, Senegal, and Zambia. And 3 regional economic community, the East African Community, the Common Markets for West Africa, COMESA, and the Southern Africa and Southern and Southern African Development Communities, SADC. By leveraging the potential of climate finance and investment possibility, the GRAP initiative seeks to enable these states and community to transform their economy to build resilience and reduce vulnerability to future shocks, particularly targeting women and the youth. Based on this pilot experience, the GRAP approaches will be replicated in additional member states and RECs in future phase of this program. So I call upon our partners to continue this navigating with us in the implementation of this important initiative, which is the GRAP, because we at the African Union, we developed it immediately after the pandemic of COVID-19 pandemic, and it was the government of England that supported us in this project. So I call upon all the partners here that we're working together to join us in this initiative to navigate so that we can expand mainstream the results of this pilot project.